What is going on YouTube? My name is Dark Mage and welcome to this brand new video I'm doing. So today I decided to do one of the topics I talked about on my last video. If you want to see that video and understand what I'm doing now, link in the description, or actually I think there's going to be an annotation right around here, I believe here. So anyways, we're going to do new videos from now on, related stuff. And today I thought I could discuss called Story Time with Dark Mage. So we're going to do that from now on for a couple days or so. So today I'm thinking about talking about basically how I met my friends in the Trash Squad. The first one being Darkstar, aka Brendan. So this was So to do that, I have to talk about this. I failed college. I failed college a few times, and I had to go back to school maybe a semester later in 2017. Hi, Editor Mage here, and so basically, I want to tell you all right now. I was actually inaccurate to what I said, actually. So that was actually a year later that I failed college. But anyways, what happened was basically I failed my second semester of college and had to retake my second semester of college, which later on I failed that semester as well. So anyways, back to the video. In August 2017, I had to go back to school, and I had to basically go into different classes that I hadn't done before so I could actually get my stuff together. I decided to finally go with general studies, which is not a major. It's just a regular studying degree that you can get, but that's what I decided to go for because I didn't think that music or computer networking was the best idea for me, so I decided to do that instead. However, during that time, I went to a class called Theater Appreciation, and that was one of my favorite classes to talk about. Even though I failed it, later on, spoiler alert, I failed it, I did enjoy that class, and it was very intriguing to me. However, I couldn't grasp what he was talking about sometimes. So later on, I had to take a class and go to actually redo the class, and I had to do it online, and I got an A on that. I got an online class, got an A, so because I already knew what I was doing with the class. So yeah, just happens, you know, it's whatever. Anyways, during that time, I was in class with my friend Peyton, and I was also in class with Brendan. Did not know Brendan was there. I also was in class with a person that was in my Spanish class, which, by the way, I avoided Spanish class. Holy crap. Oh, boy, I hated Spanish. I hated Spanish. It was not my favorite, not my favorite subject, honestly, because I failed in 8th grade, and I was like, you know what, let me give it another shot. Maybe I'll do better this time. And I failed it again, and I was like, because I avoided the class. After I realized I didn't want to do the class anymore, I stopped going to the classroom. I just avoided it. And one of the students was like, "Hey, why are you not coming to class anymore?" And I'm like, I don't know. Honestly, what I was doing, I was avoiding her and playing video games, and then in the break room. That's what I was doing. I was avoiding the class and going to the break room, and she found that out later on. But anyways, so we're talking about the appreciation. So this class was by a teacher, which I'm not gonna say his name. I'm gonna call him Mr. Bob. Mr. Bob was a pretty cool guy. He very entertaining. Honestly, his class was very fun. Sometimes it was really boring though. Honestly, when we got to the stuff like we do with Greek and stuff, I was intrigued. When we got to Romans, I was intrigued. When we got to medieval, I kind of was intrigued. But then when we got to the Renaissance era, I got severely bored. And then one day he was like, "Oh, we're gonna watch a movie," and he put on a movie called Medea, and that was oh my god, that movie was depressing and horror related. And around that time, I was having just telling you right now, I was having a little bit of anxiety and depression and stuff at the time, and a little bit of my manic episodes. But I didn't know I was, because the thing about me is I don't know when I'm having them until it gets too serious and it's too late to stop it. So that happened. But anyways, that class, I got severely paranoid, freaked out. I'm like, what the crap is this woman doing to her child? If you ever watch Medea, I wouldn't recommend watching it alone. I would recommend watching it with others. It's a Greek play, and it's It's not the best. However, anyways, we're gonna talk about another one. So later on, I'm like, you know what? I hate this movie. I hope he doesn't do movies anymore. Well, a couple weeks later, he does another movie, and I'm like, oh my god, why are we doing this? And it's a movie in the Renaissance called Tartuffe, and I think it was called Tartuffe. And I was like, he was telling us what it was going to be about, and we're like, it was boring to the degree boring on the video, like where they were at. This guy was talking about how great this guy Tartuffe was, and how great he was compared. He was like a priest that did no wrong, and it was so freaking boring until we got to a part in where it got really funny. So Tartuffe comes back and is all like trying to seduce this guy's wife and try to put the moves on her, and her son finds out, and he tries to get her. He tries to stop them. He tells his dad. He tells his dad what's going on. Well, then Tartuffe later on puts he puts these grapes on his hand, like Jesus, and like he was crucified. And all of a sudden we're like laughing because this man's like going on a severe con. This guy was a con artist, by the way. This Tartuffe guy was a con artist, and he's like talking about my child and all this stuff. And we're just like laughing our asses off. It was funny. It was hilarious. And one thing that happened during that time was when he was like he was praying. He was talking to this guy later on. This other guy came around when they were making the impressions, them doing the impression thing. And this other guy was like this. He's like, and we're laughing. We're like, wait, did that dude just do a rock and roll sign in a movie? Hold on a minute. In like a Renaissance movie? And yeah, he did. And then he was like, Amen. And it was laughable. I enjoyed that day. That was funny to me. That's where it got interesting. So we were excited to watch the next part of it, and my teacher stopped it. Mr. Bob stopped it, and he was like, all right, well, here's this is the end of today. And we're like, oh man, it was getting good. And then that's when I heard that was Brendan who said that. It was getting good. And so we started talking. Me and him started talking, and he was like, hey, and I was like, oh, you liked the movie too? He's like, yeah, it was freaking hilarious, dude. And we were like, yeah. And so we started talking about it, and we still make references to this day. Still to this day, me and Brendan do this. We make references to Tartuffe all the time because we couldn't stop bringing up how funny it was. We've been looking, like, honestly, me and him for the last couple of years have been looking to find that movie just to watch it again, to reminisce how freaking funny it was. And no, we couldn't find it. But anyways, later on we realized we were actually hanging out in the same place that I did. I hang out in the Cyber Cafe. He hanged out in the Cyber Cafe. But he was a quiet guy, so I never saw him. So I was playing Smash Brothers. This is when I was like, that was around the time I was playing Smash Brothers competitively, like seriously, in Smash 4 days. And I was getting good at the game. I was known as one of the best players in the Cyber Cafe. Meanwhile, my friend Peyton was also one of my friends Peyton was also one of the best in the Cyber Cafe. And so that happened. So that was kind of cool. But later on, we started talking, and we started realizing we had a lot in common. We were talking about our video game trade, our video game stuff, and also that we talked about Pokemon. We talked about Yu-Gi-Oh. We talked about Kingdom Hearts. We found out we were really, really relatable, me and him, and then we became friends, and that was pretty fun. I taught him to play Smash Brothers, and that's why he's better than me in Smash now, because I taught him how to play Smash Brothers. As much as y'all don't want to admit, if y'all watch my streams, I'm not the best Smash player. However, I can create monsters. Just let that sink in there. Just let it sink in. So yeah. Anyways, now we're going to talk about the other one in hand. We're going to talk about Carlos. Now, y'all do know Carlos. He's been in my video. He's been in my He's been in my videos the last times I've been making them. He did the one with I Can't Stop Laughing. That's one of the ones he was in, and he was talking. I've known Carlos since before I met Brendan. Now, Carlos, this has to involve what happened later on in my life. So I just moved into my apartment complex, my ghetto-ish apartment complex. It was so... I lived there most of my life, then left, and then came back, and it was a whole situation. Basically, I lived there most of my life. I didn't want to go back there though. So later on, I'm realizing I'm wanting to get my GED. My brother's getting his GED at the time, and he's like, "Oh no, I don't want you to be in the same classroom with me. I don't want you to have the same education as me." And I'm like, "Okay, that's how you feel. All right, cool." So later on, I'm talking to my mom's friend from church, and she's like, "Hey, I've got this opportunity for you to go look into this company called Climb." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So she drove me over there. I fill out application stuff, and they said they were having a meeting with called Mental Toughness. So, but during that thing, I had to basically go to a community class thing they had, and help them with their flowering and their gardening and stuff. It was a certain thing I had to do. Just like, all right, I'll do that. So I got on a bus, got there that day, and was there, stuck there for hours. Got back on the bus, came back home, and that was how it was. And I was like, oh, I hope I don't have to do this all the time. Later on, they were talking about mental toughness, and so I had to take a different bus. I had to take 3 different buses that day. 3. To get there. And I'm like, oh dear Lord, this is not fun. And so I'm like, but this is what I gotta do. If this is what I gotta do to get an education, I gotta do it. Well, Mental Toughness was a program which was supposed to was a way to see who could make it and who couldn't make it into their program called Climb CDC. Now, it was terrible. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it was a terrible time for others. Basically, we had to work out, we had to do sit-ups, push-ups, stuff like that. Stuff that I seriously, I couldn't do. I was not fat then, I was very skinny to the bone, but I sucked at athletic sports. But I kept trying, I kept going, and for some reason, it inspired a lot of others to do it. They're like, hey, this kid can do it, this guy can do it, why can't we? So it happened that way. Well, later on, they had a thing about, we're going to learn about, and a couple of days later, they're like, okay, we're going to learn about we're going to learn about other people. I want you to go to talk to somebody and have a conversation with them and find out what they like, what they dislike, and what their names are and where they came from. So I go up to people and I'm asking them questions. They weren't really fond of me. Well, later on, I'm running into this guy, and this guy's wearing black. He's wearing black boots, black pants, black tank top, and like a coat or something. And I'm like, in the middle of the summer? That's kind of weird. So I go up there. I go up to him and I'm like, hey, hi, my name's Zach. What's yours? He was like, oh, I'm Carlos. And I'm like, oh, hey, Carlos. Hey, do you like Pokemon? And he's like, apparently, I just found this out a couple weeks ago, but that literally made him realize I'm his friend. When I said, do you like Pokemon? Because apparently his best friend and him in high school was the same way. That's how they became friends, and he can vouch this for you. And he was like, okay, yeah, I love Pokemon. And I'm like, really? I love Pokemon too. And I said, what other video games do you like? He's like, I like Final Fantasy. I'm like, oh, I love Final Fantasy. I'm a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. He's like, awesome, cool. And we just started having a conversation. And later on, I realized this guy is really cool. I didn't think I'd run into anybody who liked the same things I did. And later on, a week later, we both got accepted into the program. And I was like, hey, Carlos, you made it. Awesome. And I was really excited to meet him again. I was like, this guy is really cool. I made an actual friend. I haven't had a friend since when my friends left. I'm excited. I get to meet somebody cool. Because when my best friend in high school, he moved to Tennessee, and I hadn't had a friend since. It's been a while. So I was really excited to hang out with him. And so I was very, how do you say it? He would say I acted very weird. That was his words for me when I first met him, was like, I'm very weird. And yes, I am. But anyways, later on, I go into the same program he's in the same exact program, because there were two programs that were in Climb CEC. There was one being cafe, and there was one being construction and stuff like that. And you guys can guess if I said I don't do weights, what I went for next. Yeah, I went to the cafe, which we went to a classroom, and Carlos and I were in the same exact classroom. We actually sat by each other and hanged out for a little bit. We met this girl during our mental toughness training named Crystal, and she was cool. She was cool. She was cool, by the way. She was cool. Very short, but very cool. Carlos and I hanged out with her for a long time during those times. But anyways, what happened was we all just started hanging out and stuff, and just chilling in the classroom, and we learned a lot. Like, I learned the differences between processed foods and unprocessed foods. I learned about what foods you should keep in the refrigerator and what food you shouldn't keep in the refrigerator. All basic stuff. This was all to get us with a surf safe, which I did pass, even though I sucked at, like I said before, I sucked at most tests I usually fail on, because I'm just not. I study, I just forget what I study sometimes. But I passed it. I got an 85, I believe, which is actually passable for the surf safe. Not many people can get an 85, apparently. Even my later on, when I had my first job, my manager, one of my managers got surf safe, and he didn't even make an 85. He made an 82, I think, but he still passed, so it worked. But yeah, he was very jealous of me for that I actually passed something he couldn't pass all the way through. So yeah, I got a few questions better than he did. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. So we're learning all this stuff. We're going into classes, and then they'd say we're going to divide you all into two groups when you start working in the cafe. So there was Cafe A and Cafe B. Now I was in Cafe A, and so was Carlos. So Carlos and I would still talk for a while. We started having a lot in common. I would have conversations with him. Now, back then, I didn't know how I used to think he was always serious when he talked to me, like being dead serious when he would talk to me, like, especially when he was like, when he would say stuff like, that's deep. And I'm like, yeah, it is pretty deep. And then later on, I found out the hard way that what he meant was, I really don't care what you have to say here. This is not a topic I want to talk about. And I'm like, okay. So later on, he was like that. So, we became friends, and we started hanging out and stuff. And later on, through the year, he started coming over to my house and hanging out and spending the night at my house. And we started playing video games. We played Smash Brothers, which is how I became a competitive gamer, because of Carlos, competitive Smash player. Blame that guy. I couldn't beat his ass in Brawl, and it made me upset. So I started learning the competitive side of Smash Brothers. Yeah. That's why I am who I am. That's how I made this channel. Just saying. It's Carl's fault. Anyways, back to that. Anyways, we hanged out. He moved back to his home in Michigan, and I'm still here in Mississippi. When we graduated, and later on, we still kept in contact. We never lost contact. Now, we've had our fights, and we've lost contact for a couple months, maybe 8 months. That's because of my arrogance, and he always wanted to always be right, and sometimes he was right, but I just didn't want to admit it. And I still got into a fight with him anyways. And yeah, it just happened that way. But anyways, I've learned that. Now we're going to talk about how I met MHK. Now this one has to do with me being a streamer. So when I first started streaming, I moved to my apartment in a different city, which is where me and Darkstar would hang out and stuff. Was in my old apartments where I used to live. If y'all remember my streams before I was affiliate, that was my room I was doing my streaming in. However, I had it all set up back then. Now, before that happened, I had a capture card. I had a HD 1080p capture card. So I put that in and put it on my computer. And for some reason, my webcam was the most webcam I've ever dealt with in my life. So basically what happened was my videos looked very bad, and I was new to Twitch streaming, so I had barely any views. I had 1 to 2 views, maybe 3 if I was lucky. And then they would leave because they realized, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, probably. But one day I'm playing Smash Brothers with my friend. I think I was playing with Carlos that day, and I was playing Smash Brothers. And all of a sudden, this random dude named MHK TV came on, and I'm like, he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Are you a Peach main?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a Peach main." And he's like, "Cool, I'm a Peach main too." And so I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Do you want to join my arena?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So I invited him to my arena, and he got in, and we fought, and I realized this dude knew flow canceling better than me. And when he played me, he's talking to this later on, like a couple of years later. I didn't know how to do anything fundamental at all on Smash. He realized, okay, this dude doesn't know how to do flow cancels, doesn't know how to do dash dancing. He doesn't know how to do spacing. He knew everything when he watched my videos. I'm still surprised this man watched my 480p streams and still hangs out with me to this day. It's still surprising. And later on, I invited him to a voice chat, and we started becoming really good friends. It's his fault that we have the Discord that we have right now and how big it is. He did everything for us. I'm very thrilled to say that to him because he revived my channel. He revived my Twitch stream. He revived a lot. So thank you, MHK, for what you did for me, man. Honestly. So it took me a while to get friendlier with him. We started playing Smash all the time, and then I came back from my long episode situation where I didn't have. Well, I already mentioned to you. I already mentioned in the Saturday video about that situation. So I go back and I finally get my computer back. I finally get internet back, and I'm like talking to MHK. I'm not talking to him on my phone. I finally have a phone again, and I'm able to talk to him. And I'm telling all my friends and stuff about what happened to me. So MHK still hangs around me, even though I'm mentally ill too. That's an interesting one. I'm so surprised he still hangs out with me. But he realized there was something different about me, and he liked it about me. So I guess that's what it is. Even though you have your faults, your friends still care about you. It's just how it is. And he became one of my closest friends. Honestly, that's just how it is. And it was his idea to do the podcast. It was his idea to do the Pokemon plays, and we started it. Now we did try to do Pokemon Yellow with him that day, but he was too tired. So we gave it a shot again. Me, Karma, and Darkstar, we all gave it a shot, and we're like, hey, we want to do this again. And it was thanks to MHK that we started even doing it. And his name, we're like, hey, we're gonna name him after Jade. We're gonna name it after Jaidyn. So yeah, that's what we did. So we did that. Big Dick J. That's why he's named that. If y'all didn't know. So yeah. Anyways, now we're going to talk about Karma. So Karma. Now, it was a couple of years ago when I finally met Karma, aka Dave. So basically, what happened was MHK was talking about, hey, can I bring my friend over when we were playing Smash one day? And it was Karma. And I'm like, oh, this guy's name is Uncle Karma. That's a really weird name. And so we started talking, and he seemed pretty cool. And we were like, all right, this guy seems pretty cool. He was playing, I think he played Piranha Plant that day, or Lucario or something. And I was beating his ass, and he wanted to learn how to play Smash better. And I felt like, okay, I could teach him a thing or two. So, because I taught Brennan, and I could teach him, I guess. That's what I thought in my head at the time. So I did. And later on, he started getting better and stuff. And we started hanging out and stuff. And Karma, so I realized him and HK were kind of like the same thing that me and Carlos were. So I got really involved in hanging out with Karma, because Karma reminded me a lot. Him and HK's relationship reminded me of me and Carlos's relationship and how we became friends. It was the exact same thing, actually. They met each other in a trade school, just like I met Carlos in a trade school. So it was kind of like, holy crap, MHK is doing the same thing, having the same moments that me and Carlos did. So that it reminded me some things about him. So that's why I think I became more friends with Karma than anything else. And Karma also is like my honestly, whenever I have a bad day, Karma's the one that calms me down. It makes me realize that everything's not as bad as it, especially when I'm playing Smash or Tekken. When I get upset or something, and I'm like, "Yo, I can't believe I sucked at this," and I'll rant on Discord or something, and Karma will be the one to always calm me down. Which I didn't think he was going to be that thing for me, but he was, and he's a good friend, so I can't say anything about it. And we've become really good friends, but. Yeah, Karma was because MHK invited him, and we were like, okay, this guy's pretty cool. We started inviting him to other things we were doing, like I showed him my streams, and he's like, hey, these are pretty cool, and he started joining my streams. That was around the time we all decided to finally do the Trash Squad revamp of our Discord, which originally was called Trash Brothers, and then all of a sudden Brendan had the idea, well, it's not the Trash Brothers anymore. It's not just me and Zach anymore. So he's like, all right, we're going to change it to the Trash Squad, which is how it came to be now. And Karma joined in on it, and he became one of the moderators. We never really got rid of him out as moderator because we thought he was pretty cool. We're like, you know what, this guy could help a lot. And he did a lot for us. He's one of the best moderators a guy can have, honestly. One of our best moderators in our Discord. And he's really cool. Like, he's a cool guy. If you ever seen the videos on Pokemon Yellow, he had a lot of funny moments. If you watch Crystal, he's very funny. He's a very cool guy. He's very laid back. He's more of a laid back video game player. Unless you play League. In League, he's a whole different person. Oh, holy crap on League, he's a whole different person. But anyways, I think that's how I met all my friends on the Trash Squad. So I hope you all liked this video. Please share it with your friends if you guys enjoyed it. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to share it with your friends, and I will catch y'all next time. Also, just as a thing, check out my new shirt. My brother got this for me. Nice, right? Yeah, it's my favorite shirt. Y'all can guess why.